Hello, Michael Brown here. Today in the studio I want to do a simple demonstration of how to convert a 2D photograph into a 3D lenticular print using Adobe Photoshop and the latest version of Triaxes 3D Master Kit. So let's begin. I'm going to launch my copy of Adobe Photoshop and open up an image for conversion. This is an iPhone photograph I made with a selfie stick of myself, my brother, and my wife when we were on vacation visiting him. I want to come in and take this picture and crop it to an 8x10. So I could use this 4:5 aspect ratio selection. Come over here, there it's vertical, so we switch it to horizontal. Maybe get a little bit of the palm trees in there. Yeah, something like that. So I'll hit enter, and I will probably resize that. It has the ratio, but I'm going to change this to 180 ppi, width of 10 inches, has height of 7.998, so its aspect ratio crop wasn't perfect. I'll deselect this, and I'll just type the 8 in. It will distort it slightly, but I'll have my true 8x10 inches. I'm also going to come over and convert back to my sRGB color profile instead of using the profile that the phone had originally used. So here's my picture. That's what we're going to make into our 3D picture. First thing I want to do is select the people and lift them off the background. So I'm going to come over here to the selection tool, go to subject. The Photoshop AI called Firefly is very good at identifying people in pictures. So if we expand this a little bit and look, it's done a nice quick job of grabbing us, although not perfect. So let's just examine that and see if there's anything we have to correct. This is good. This is good. That's reasonable along him. This is reasonable. Lost a little bit of my shirt here, but not too bad. Here's a more significant error, so I'm going to come in with the marquee tool, hit the deselect, which is the option key, and you can see there's a little minus by that tool. I'll come over here. It's not perfect, but that's better. And then it has all this. We want to deselect some of this. Let's see. Well, actually, I'm going to start over or add a little bit more. So I'll hold the shift key down. That will let me add to the selection. Actually, I don't want to add it. Want to delete. Sorry about mumbling to myself. Just trying to make a recording and do the Photoshop work at the same time. So let's add this back in. Okay, that's pretty good. So I've got most of her hair here, down there. That's a little funky. Let's just add some of this. And oops. Wrong key. Take that out. Take this out. Add that in. Okay. So I spent a little more time on that than I wanted, but you can see the value of using the AI auto selection. So what I want to do now is just cut these people out of the picture. That's good. And I want to come over actually and paste them back in. Paste special, paste in place. Okay, so now in the layers palette, you can see there's a layer with people, and a layer with background. Where it cut them out, it's white. I want to select that white. I'll select the white on the background layer. There we go. So now it has that, but I want to expand the edge of that. So we'll go select, modify, expand. I like to expand by about 20 pixels. I do that. It's probably more than I had to, but that's fine. Now, we'll come up here with the generative fill tool. I could type in something I wanted in there like beach, but I'm just going to leave it empty, and then it will look at the picture and determine what it thinks it should fill in. So with that empty, I'm just going to hit the return key. And now it's generating. You never know what it's going to do. It's usually pretty good. Certainly faster and easier than me trying to go in and use the clone tool. So here we go. Here's the beach scene. It gives us 3 choices. That's the first choice. There's the second choice. Here's the third choice. I think I'm going to go with choice number 2. So we'll go to layers, and I'm going to merge it down. And then I'm just going to get rid of this little funky stuff here. I don't know what that is, something that was on the beach. I'll just take the healing brush tool and paint over there. So that's pretty good. So there's my background. There's my people. So much easier and faster than trying to rebuild that yourself. And the whole idea we do that is to prevent a tearing on the edge of the people, to have a little bit of a look around effect in this lenticular. So I have my 2 layers. Let's export those. Export layers to file. I'll make sure they're going in the right place, which is my 2D to 3D folder. That's good. And I'm going to save them in the PNG format so that top layer with the people has transparency. If I saved it as a JPEG, that area that was transparent would be white in the finished file, but I want to maintain the transparency. So we'll save it PNG, no need for a prefix. I'll hit run. Now, if I wanted to be fancy, I could have gone in and edited the flesh tones a little bit. They're a little oversaturated from the phone, but for now, I'll just leave those as is. All right, so we're pretty much done in Photoshop. I will save this in case I want to revisit it. So I'll just put that with layers. Okay, we'll quit that. We'll hide our Photoshop for now. And we'll bring up 3D Master Kit. Come in. I'm going to add the 2 frames we just had, which are in the probably the desktop folder. 2D to 3D. We'll grab those 2, put them in. I can see the beach, the background came up on top, so I'm just going to highlight that and move it down. So there's our people and there's our background. Now we want to make some depth maps, so I'll come in here to this center box and I will go generate depth map. There's 2 choices, the traditional and the new one. So the traditional depth map generator would make something like that. And you can see, well, new people were there and they'd be kind of forward, so it made that a little lighter, but it really wouldn't be an effective depth map to work with. But the new AI depth map is pretty good. So here's what it came up with, and you can change the blur on that if you want. You know, some people like their depth maps blurrier, some like them sharper. I'll give it just a little blur. And we'll save that. We'll do something similar for the background. Select the background layer, generate depth map. And this is looking pretty good. The beach is forward, the sky is backwards, and the palms are in between, so that's reasonable. Now, the AI, as good as it is, it's not perfect. You may have to go in and edit the depth map slightly. I thought I saw some potential errors on the people, but let's simulate how that would look in the lenticular print. So we'll come over here to layers and generate our multi-view frames. This is set up right now. I have 720 ppi for my printer, I have 60 LPI for the particular lens I would use, a 60 LPI lens, and so that's automatically going to generate 24 frames. If we wanted to make a different number of frames, 12, 36, 100, whatever, you could hit this manual radio button and then just put in your desired number of frames. But I'm quite happy with 24. So let's generate those. There's a progress bar on the bottom. You can see it marching along, and when our frames are generated, they'll appear in this window on top. And here they are. So it's showing my frames, it's showing me a color anaglyph preview, and it's using the leftmost frame and the rightmost frame to generate that preview, which gives us a very hyper stereo effect. Now, if you have a pair of red cyan glasses, you can use those to view this preview. So I'm going to do that. But I find for really more accurate preview results, when I'm making a letter size print using a narrow angle 3D lens like the MicroLens 60, I like to view about a third of those frames in preview. So I'm going to come over here to frame number 8, and I'm going to hit that as my leftmost. I'm going to go to frame number 16, and I'm going to hit that as my rightmost. And I'm now viewing just a third of the frames in the anaglyph. I like the black and white anaglyph. You have a choice to view them in color, subcolor, or grayscale. Encoding, please wait. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. I had to hit the generate button. So here we go. I put my filters down. This actually looks pretty good. The only super obvious error I see is my brother's shirt collar. It's the back of the collar is basically going back to the edge of the water, so that's not right. I was a little concerned that there'd be something up here, but because the background is so plain, that rendered fine. And I was a little concerned right here with the depth map, but that doesn't seem to be causing any real problems. So we do have to fix the depth map by the collar. So let's go back to our frames. Now, normally what I would do is I'd take this button here and I would go to Edit in External Editor. And then what you can do is you can have an editor like Photoshop set as your default, and it would export that right into Photoshop. You can edit it and bring it right back into 3D Master Kit. But I'm actually working on a Macintosh computer. I'm running 3D Master Kit under emulation, under PC emulation. My version of Photoshop is actually the Macintosh version, so I'm not able to make that direct connection. So I'm going to have to do it manually. But just to know, if you're running Master Kit on a PC and Photoshop on a PC, you won't have to go through the little workaround I'm about to. So what I want to do is actually export my depth map. So I'll go to Save Depth Map As, and I want to make sure it's in the right folder, which it's not. And I'm going to do depth map. Oops. Give it a new name, depth map to edit. And we'll save that. Now I'm going to come back to Photoshop. And I'm going to find my depth map to edit and open that up. And now we can see it a little more clearly. I'm just going to make this a little bigger. How about that? So you can see this is our problem area. I thought that was going to be a problem area, but it's not. It's pretty dark. It's a little concerned about that, but of course the beach is closer than the background, so that's not too bad. This is really the only real issue that I saw. I'm just going to take the little pen tool here. And do that. I'll go to the Paths palette and make a selection. And I could have done that with the marquee tool too. It's just another way of working. Grab the eyedropper, grab something close here, maybe there. Grab my paint tool, just paint in that collar. So, not super precise, but I don't think I have to be for that. Let's see, I probably actually should have used a gray more like right here by the edge. Maybe I'll just blend that a little bit. Have the rubber stamp tool. See how that goes. All right, so now let's save that. Do depth map. Color fixed. Put that back as a bitmap. And hit save. I don't know why it calls it alpha channel. Just make sure I only had one channel. Good. All right, we'll close that. Go back to Master Kit. Go back to the people. Load depth map. Oh, spelled the collar wrong. Well, oh well. Little typo. All right, let's regenerate the frames. It warns me that the existing frames will be overwritten by the new frames, which is fine. Here we go. All right, let's preview again. Frame 8, frame 16, anaglyph. Close it down. Yep, that shirt collar looks better. All right, so let's interlace our files. Come over here to the lenticular choice. It already knows it's 8 by 10 at 720. I put in here my value of 60.1 because that's what my 60 LPI's pitch test out to. I want to make sure there's a registration border around it, and I do have that. I'm using the choice of the 3D registration border. It has the color green, dynamic marks. I have fit registration marks to picture, so this will print out as an 8 by 10 with the border within that 8 by 10. If I want the 8 by 10 print and the registration border on the external part, I would deselect that, and now my 8 by 10 print will actually print as 10.3 inches wide by 8.3 inches high. But anyway, my lenses are cut to 8 by 10, so I want to fit that border within. So we'll save those, and then we'll send that off to a file. And it gives it a default name of 08 lenticular, 60.1 LPI, 720 PPI, 10 by 8 inches with vertical lenticular orientation. I'll hit save that. We can watch the progress bar at the bottom and see it zipping along. Do we want to open the target directory? I do not. I would like to save the frames I made though, so I'm going to go to my frame window, project, export frames, and I'll make a new folder, and I'll call that 24 frames, just in case I want to use them again sometime. And we'll export those. So that's pretty quick. I don't want to open the directory. We'll hide Master Kit. We'll come back to Photoshop. So here's our directory of 1 through 24 frames. Here's our interlaced file. You can see the image, the registration border surrounding it. So all we have to do now is send that to the printer and then bond the lens to it, and we have our 3D lenticular. So I hope this workflow helps and shows you that it's pretty simple to take a 2D image and make a 3D lenticular. And a lot of the simplicity is due to the modern AI, which is both in Adobe Photoshop and in 3D Master Kit. This would have been a much bigger job even a few years ago. So with that, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Take care.